Hey there, folks. Welcome on back to ArtichokeDip. My name is Rob, solo tabletop gamer. And recently, I haven't made too many videos. Been kind of quiet on the front. The whole Wizard of the Coast debacle went down. I made a few, talked about that for a while. Really got me ramped up. And then things went quiet for a while. And I was struggling with some health issues. And I've got them sorted out, feeling a lot more like myself than I have in a very long time. And what's that old saying go? Hands at idle is a devil's playground. So for this video, I decided to look up the definition of wizard. So wizard, used in a noun, means one skilled in magic, sorcerer. A very clever or skillful person. Or a wise man or sage. Now, if we were to use that in an adjective, it would mean worthy of the highest praise, having a magical influence or power, or of relating to wizardry or enchanted. This is very important. And the topic of this video I'm going to get into. A little disclaimer first. If you like it, click the like button. If you're new, don't forget to click subscribe followed by a bell icon because I do not upload on a regular basis. So, back to the wizards thing. So, one of my favorite games, grew up playing as a kid, all through the editions, and then all of a sudden they do this stupid campaign. I don't think they're worthy of that name anymore. Wizards of the Coast. I think I'm going to dub them a brand new name. Bozos of the Coast. If you're not familiar with Bozo, Bozo was a clown. Much like them over there. Bunch of clowns. I recently seen they did something quite ridiculous. They said, we're no longer going to be releasing any real published anything book-wise. It's all going to be electronic. Some people can argue this is going to be the future. Well, just one question. Are you freaking stupid? Well, they're not wizards. We all know that. They're a bunch of bozos is what they are. Which brings me back to the thing of this video. So, after feeling much more like myself and haven't been able to engage in games and other things, and I've been really re-engaging lately and just, man, enjoying it. And it was a series that I had bought ways back. And that's called In the Shadow of Ostrog. I started getting into this and playing it, and then it's kind of when I noticed I started to become aware there were some things going on, but I didn't know what they were. I thought it might just be stress. I had a lot of stress in my life at that time, and that's what I attributed it to. And as it got worse over time, it really, how do I put this? Inhibited me from being able to read and enjoy to read and comprehend what I was reading, and it just was it was a dark time in my life, to say the least. But I can say one thing. I want to give a very loud shout out to my wife. She was my rock through all of it, and she really was there for me. Some of my most low points going through this, and saw me out the other side. So, but getting back to castles and crusades. Now, for those of you out there watching, if you enjoy tabletop games, what is the magic of tabletop games? What makes tabletop gaming different from computer gaming? Well, first thing is, you're here. You're grounded here in reality. You're sitting at a table. You're actually rolling real physical dice. You're using actual 28mm minis that you use, whether you paint them or you buy them pre-painted. and you're deploying 3D terrain to put on your board. Whether you're playing solitaire or you're playing in a large group and you got people around the table, and it's a very social event. And even solo, I know some people would argue that it's not a social event, but in fact it is. It really is. You sit down, you play through your scenario. A lot of games now coming out have solitaire games to it. And then, Lord behold, people get together and they talk about it. They talk about their experiences. And this also brings people together. Which is why I'm guessing you're probably watching my channel. You probably have a whole lot of common sense. And you're probably not putting up with this whole entire Bozo of the Coast movement towards 100% electronic, getting away from everything which was the foundation of tabletop role-playing games and just going straight electronic. Let's face it, folks, if that's what you want to do, there's other game companies out there that have way better games than what they can offer, and they've been around a whole lot longer, worked all their bugs out, and more bang for your buck. Basetta is one of them that I can think of. I mean, people argued for a while that Skyrim wasn't an RPG like D&D. Kind of looks like D&D's trying to follow Skyrim. People will argue with me about that, but you have to stop and ask yourself this question. What was the big difference? Skyrim was 100% electronic. Game you play on a video game console or PC, and D&D was tabletop RPG, which is actually a hobby, which means you actually had to put forth time outside of game, whether to prep, to paint minis, to make terrain, to do things like that. That's what a hobby is. A hobby means something you create, and not something that you just buy and play. That's a game. That's a straight up game. So they blurred the lines. They drew the line in the sand and they said no more. You remember that whole thing? White people can't leave the game fast enough, and no more orcs. And that's right, genderless elves and all this other stuff. And it was like, yeah, no, I got a lot of common sense. I'm not going along with this. You can shove off and go your own way with your Bozo of the Coast ideas. And what did we see happen, folks? After they tried to go after third-party publishers and all kinds of other things, it was like watching the trajectory of a plane heading straight towards Earth. Fuck, I'm dead! Which is pretty much where I see them at now. I don't foresee them getting out of this. I really don't. I think, like I said a few videos back, until some other company comes along and picks them up and revitalizes it to its former glory of what it was, I think D&D is going to be dead to a lot of people out there. But don't fret. If you're new to tabletop gaming, and you're kind of sitting there going, well, this sucks because I really want to get into tabletop gaming, but you know, you don't want to pay the high inflated prices on eBay to get a used copy of a book. There are other publishers out there that can help you with this, my friends. And it's good. It is excellent stuff. And what am I talking about? Right here, Castles and Crusades. Now, this is their updated version. I also have their most recent print, Player's Handbook, that they have put out. But I've been playing Castles and Crusades for a while. A long time, actually. And here's their most recent updated Player's Handbook. But the original one, I think, is my favorite art of all. Which is this one right here. The original Castles and Crusades slipcover set that came with campaign module, your monsters and treasure. Also came with Oh, got my game screen set up right behind her. That's why it's not in there. Game Master screen in it and all kinds of goodies at the time. And when I had seen it and I was reading it, I automatically fell in love with it just immediately for what it was. It was basic D&D in a 3rd edition format. And I was like, that's me. Played the hell out of it for a long time. And then I had moved on to other RPGs, but I've been noticing I always come back to it and I enjoy it. And they have come a long way since they first began in what they have to offer. All kinds of campaign worlds out there. As a matter of fact, I picked up like 4 of their box sets. Dragon's Crucible, which I haven't even got into. And so picked up the Dungeons of Ostrog, Journey to Ostrog, In the Shadow of Ostrog, and of course, the Dragon's Crucible. And it just scratches the surface of what they have to offer. And the thing that I love about Castles and Crusades is it took the best parts of basic D&D, what a lot of, I'm going to say, gamers who started out with basic that they really enjoyed, they really liked about it, and they melded that perfectly with a more modernized D20 system. They made it simple to play, though the rules are clean, concise, straight to the point. It's not a complete freaking word salad or overwinded explanation to where you're sitting there going, get to the freaking point. And that's what I love about it. It's jammed packed, full of great gaming goodness, which is what we're looking for. If you're like me and you enjoy my favorite of all time settings for tabletop gaming, will always be fantasy. I have tried to stretch out into sci-fi and future sci-fi. I'm getting more intrigued with it, but in my heart, I always just want to lean more towards the fantasy side of it. And it could be growing up as a kid. I just grew up with some of them great movies that I think really influenced me towards that. The animated series of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, the original Willow, The Dark Crystal, to say a few. And of course, who can forget Krull? That was an awesome one. Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer. All these great films growing up in the 80s that I had just loved and were very pivotal, I'm going to say, towards D&D. And D&D being based in that fantasy medieval type of world and what it had to offer. And the thing I like, I know people will argue about this and whatever, take it for what it is. It did have a nice overshadowing of Middle Earth to it, in my opinion, that made it really my favorite, especially all the way through third edition. 4th edition was a really cool miniature. It's excellent for miniatures, honestly. 5th edition, I didn't mind. The original prints, it just seemed the characters were too superhero, too hard to kill, just too overpowered, if you ask me, compared to the earlier editions. Which is why I like Castles and Crusades, because Castles and Crusades really captured that. They really captured the feeling of that game and the various different campaign settings that they offer for it are just staggering what they have out there. The quality of their books, and I don't foresee them discontinuing their prints, mainly because I think that they understand that the vast majority of tabletop gamers out there that enjoy tabletop gaming and like it, they, you know, hey, we like our books. That's the thing. You know, we're bookworms. We enjoy them, and this is what we want. Now, I'm not bashing electronic PDFs, anything like that. I mean, they definitely do save room. They're cheaper. Just the thing I don't like about it, in my opinion, is if something happens to the computer, you ever have to do a factory reboot on it and it just wipes everything, all that's gone. You know, fair enough. Yeah, you can re-download it and do all that, but this, it's a little hard to do because it's a physical copy that you don't have to worry about that. And for me, like I said, in tabletop gaming, I want to turn off all the screens. I don't want a screen running in the background it's just a distraction. I don't want that in my gaming. Streaming music is one thing, but no. Last thing I want is YouTube or Netflix or any service like that with some knucklehead in the screen rambling on to distract me from gaming. And so that's what I love about it. That's the true magic of tabletop gaming. It's like, despite the advancements in technology and how time has moved, tabletop gaming has still captured that magic of, you sit down at the table, you got your dice, you got your minis, you got your snacks, you got your terrain, you got your books, and just all of that culminates into this very magical experience that it's funny when people experience for the first time. You're like, man, this is really, really cool. And it's like, yeah, that's what we've been trying to tell you all these years. But you know, when it comes to bozos of the coast who are just suicidal, shall we say, that's fine. That's fine. And I still stand by my my statement that I'll never buy another Wizards of the Coast publication as long as I live. There will just never be anything else from Wizards of the Coast that I'm going to put into my game collection, just because of the fact that the thing that really set me back with 5th edition was the fact that there was never a release of the Forgotten Realms. Why only take small snippets of it and put it out there and basically force feed the player what you want them to see, rather than allowing the player to be able to experience the realms themselves? That was the magic of it. That's what made it so popular and made it what it was. And, well, where they fell short, we'll say, other gaming companies have come to pick that up, and they have done quite well, and they have done better. Another one I talked about quite a bit, and is an excellent game that when I really want to play a basic D&D game, and as a matter of fact, this is a system I use. I don't even use the original basic D&D rules anymore. Still have a lot of the old modules that I will use and I will run through. And that's this right here, Swords and Wizardry. Swords and Wizardry it's excellent. Excellent, particularly if you're getting into the hobby. If you're just new to the hobby and you're looking for a place to start to actually start getting into tabletop RPGs, Swords and Wizardry is really good. It's very basic. The rules are extremely simple. It's extremely simple to understand. Castles and Crusades is going to take you to a next level. It's going to give you more advanced concepts, ideas, and more freedom. Now, there are, at its bare roots, okay, and I've talked about these before, which I'm Sure, there are plenty of people out there maybe watching this video thinking, why is he talking about this again? Well, it's been a while, and I just recently got back into the swing of things, and this is the first thing that, you know, I really wanted to go after. I've been, Castles and Crusades is what I jumped into. It's my love. But let's break down these two systems side by side and talk about them and the differences really between the two. So Swords and Wizardry is a basic form of the original D&D. As a matter of fact, it's going to introduce some more advanced game mechanics than were in the original D&D. The fact that, you know, a dwarf wasn't just a race, it was a class. Same thing with an elf. And then, you know, all the other classes were presumed to be human. So this does go at it with a different angle of approach, we'll say, and that is the fact that you do have a class and you do have a race that you can pick from. Now, the there it is. As you can see, the player's book is very thin. It's very easy read, very easy to get through. I do have the hardcover where it compiles all this into one volume. And where did I put that? Not a worry right now. I'm sure I have it. It's never too far from me, but it is. The Castles and Crusade Game Master screen has hid it from my sight. So this book right here is a compiled, basically compendium, if you want to call it that, or basically a compilation of all four of these books into one book. And it's about the same thickness, you can see, but the nice thing is the simplicity of it. Now, it's a D20 system. The thing I do like about Swords and Wizardry is that the way that the game has been designed is you can play it like the old original TSR D&D as the way it was written, with the ascending ACs, which, if you don't know, you look at that in the original basic, the lower your AC number, the better. And it went on the idea of subtraction rather than addition. Or it has the more modern D20 system, to where you're rolling a D20, you're taking that number and you're adding your bonuses, trying to drive up a higher number value to meet and or exceed that number you're looking for. That is cool about Swords and Wizardry. Now, you're not going to find that with Castles and Crusades. Castles and Crusades is a far more, and I'm not going to say complex. That is not at all the word I would put in there. They are both easy systems to learn, fun systems to play, highly soloable. We're not going to be putting them in water. Soloable. Very solo. Where this is basic D&D. This is going to introduce more ideas of advanced D&D, in my opinion. They say it's basic. I would argue this is based off of basic Dungeons and Dragons, and this is based off advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So, and having all those editions and playing them, I have to admit, some of my favorite editions was AD&D 3rd edition. AD&D and 3rd edition, I'm going to say, which is why I love this one so much, because this is a very well melded mixture of the two. Whereas this one is double bang for your buck. You pick this up, you're getting a great game system. Everything you need is in this book, so you're going to get all your encounters or your monsters. You're going to know how to build a character, and of course there's going to be a section in there. If you're playing solo, you'll understand how to utilize the referee, what they call it, game master, whatever you want to call it, section. Or if you're playing in a group and somebody designates himself to be the game master, it'll be a section for them to pull on for all the information to run and need to run a game session for you. But nevertheless, the beauty of these two, and what really sets them apart, this one to this one. This one's going to use a saving throw, which means each character is going to have a fixed number for the saving throw. As your character gains level, that saving throw number is going to begin to go down. So it's going to be easier for you to make them saves. And it's really excellent for solo for the fact that it's a quick, easy resolution to that question. Does your character avoid instant death, or don't they? Does your character succeed at this task, or don't they? So on and so forth. So from a solo aspect, that is an excellent mechanic built in there. And I can say, you know, Mr. Finch, good job. If that was your idea, or whose ever idea that was over there at Frog God Games, 2 thumbs up. I'm telling you, that was a good idea. Very clever. But with Castles and Crusades, they utilize a different idea. They utilize the siege engine, which, in my opinion, adds more flavor to the game and a little bit more excitement for the fact that they have used the original concepts and ideas of saving throws from the original, what you would see D&D in there, which would be your petrification, your paralysis, your, as a matter of fact, I'll pull it up right here because I have a character sheet right here. So you're going to have paralysis and constriction, which is a saving throw based off your strength. Then you're going to have a breath weapon and traps, which is built off your dexterity attribute. You're going to have disease, energy drain, and poison, which is built off your constitution attribute. Arcane magic and illusion, which is a saving throw for your intelligence attribute. Confusion, divine magic, gaze attack, petrification, and polymorph, which is based off of your wisdom attribute. And last but not least, your death attack, charm, and fear, which is based off of your charisma attribute, which is very reminiscent of the original saving throws we saw in the original versions of D&D. But the cool thing is with the siege engine is when you go to roll a save, there are 2 different value numbers you have to remember. If you are rolling a saving throw for your prime attribute for that character class, so each character class is going to have a prime attribute that is designated to it. An example, if you're a fighter or a ranger, strength is going to be your prime attribute, unlike a magic user or a sorcerer, which would be intelligence. So therefore, to roll a saving throw, you're going to roll a 1d20. Your target number is going to be a 12, but you're going to add your level. So if you're second level, it would be 2 plus that attribute modifier to meet and or exceed that number to achieve your saving throw. But if it's not a prime attribute, this is where the fun comes in. At that point, if it's not a prime attribute, your saving throw number is 18. You have to roll an 18. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, just playing through my game session here, my characters have recently made the long track travel up the, I need to read this to remember the name, Drunberry River up to Fallow Falls, which is A0 in Ostrog, which is to Melforton to Botenberg. You see the map right here. My characters were attacked by a pack of wolves, and my ranger failed a saving throw, and the wolf was able to tackle him to the ground and do damage, which was like, ugh. But anyways, that's the gameplay. I could go off about that for a while, but I'm not. So that to itself, you can see how Castles and Crusades is going to give you more flavor. It's going to give you a little bit more flavor. And I'm not bashing Swords and Wizardry over Castles and Crusades. So that's new. I love them both equally. And when, like I said, I want to play some old school D&D, I want to pull out some of them old modules and play them, I'm going to go straight to here. Because this feels more like the old, grungy, dirty game that I remember compared to some of my more modern stuff that I have. Even if I'm playing in very, very modern stuff, like if I want to play in the Forgotten Realms, but I could play 3rd edition, have all the core rule books, roll it up, go through the skills, the feat list, and all that. Or I could make it more simple for myself for solo play, and that is take out Castles and Crusades. And the perfect thing is it's 100% compatible, period. And that's what I love about it. Now, differences. What are the differences between the two game systems? Well, I think you have to ask yourself this question going into it. First thing is, what kind of D&D, if you want to play older D&D stuff, experience do you really want? Do you want to go back to the golden days of the red box going into the blue box? That, you know, this was basic D&D. This is before, you know, advanced D&D, and the books were hardcovers, and they were actually soft covers with the staple that held them together. Well, if that's where you enjoy, because I like that too, you know, go to Swords and Wizardry. You will not be disheartened in any way. And Swords and Wizardry, just like Castles and Crusades, has a huge, huge library and catalog of various different campaign settings and supplements and everything for their game. But if you enjoy 3rd edition or 4th edition or 5th edition, you're recently playing 5th edition, and maybe you're finding, like I'm hearing from a lot of people now, where they're saying, you know, it's okay, but it's a little too sandboxy, gets a little boring for the fact that they feel like their characters cannot be really properly challenged. Like, there's really no fear of death of the character because the character can just keep going like a tank. Well, you know, at that point, for people like that, I really urge you, seriously urge you, to look back towards 3rd edition. Go back to 3rd edition when the D20 system was put out, and just how it revolutionized tabletop gaming as a whole, how it actually brought everything together in a more clean, concise, really good gaming experience that could be enjoyed across a huge amount of different games out there. And it really, really did make tabletop gaming what it is today. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and deny that from you. The Bozos of the Coast back then, when in 3rd edition, when I will say, yes, there were Wizards of the Coast, because they thought up of this wonderful system that revolutionized gaming until today, and now they're Bozos of the Coast, we'll just say. But check it out. If you're to that point to where you're kind of getting fed up with 5th edition, you want something new, you want something, go back to 3rd edition and check it out and see what it had to offer. And I think you're going to find a more rich and engaging and enjoying game experience than what you're seeing today. And what are the differences between these? I mean, what is the difference between Bozos of the Coast compared to Troll Lord games, compared to Frog God games? Here's the big difference. And this is the elephant in the room when it comes to these. Castles and Crusades, you can tell by the editing, the way that the book is put together, the level of art, the overall quality of the book, that this was a labor of love. This is made by gamers who enjoy gaming, who want to give really good gaming content out there for people to enjoy, as well as Swords and Wizardry. Same thing. The cool thing about Swords and Wizardry, what I like, is you're going to see the classic old school black and white art that, man, it's been lost in gaming unless you go to a third-party publisher that they actually still do that today. It's kind of lost art, we'll say. Whereas if Castles and Crusades, they have really worked on beautiful art and everything that they put into their books, which is very reminiscent of 3rd edition, which I love. I really do. And even now, just looking at, I mean, this is their Monster and Treasure now. You can see how thick that sucker is. I mean, it's a heavy book. And how they have advanced and come along throughout the years compared to if we look at the original printing that they have compared to what they offer now, and you just look at the difference in the content that they give you now. I mean, it's like 2 more books worth. But that was no problem for me at the time because I was supplementing that with my 3rd edition D&D stuff that I had and utilizing Castles and Crusades way back before what we have now. And I hope, I really do hope, because I just want to get this out there to people out there. I am not paid at all, 100% at all by these game companies. These are games that I enjoy to play, and that's why I talk about them, and that's why I talk up these game companies, because I enjoy playing a game that I know was a labor of love, that I know the people put forth the work in it because they love what they do. Are they making money? They have to. If they don't, how can they afford to pay for the talent to make the art, to do the edits, to do everything through the process that has to be done to be able to make a final product to be on your game table? So absolutely, and I hope they're doing very well, and I hope to see more publications in the future out of them because, man, you know, I know for me it's getting a little, I'm starting to bridge that gap to where I'm getting into the later years of my life or the twilight of my life. But, you know, I hope when I'm old and senile and knocking on death's door, the last thing I'll be doing is rolling polyhedral dice and moving minis across my map on my table with my terrain, because it's my hobby. It's the thing I love to do. And if you're like-minded like me and you enjoy great stories, you enjoy rich fantasy worlds that really intrigue your imagination, and you watch that movie and you wish, man, I wish this wouldn't end here. I wish it would keep going on. Whereas an RPG out there can help you with that and help you actually design, formulate, and just keep continuing that story narrative along. And these are 2 publishers that I really do enjoy. Now, I talked about the Cipher system. That was a few videos back ago, which is an excellent system. I made that video, and I know I talked about Manny the Madman Wizard and getting into all that, and then the issues I was grappling with just made it very difficult to actually bring that to fruition. And if I could recapture that magic of that again, I'd like to finish that and continue on with it. But I feel as if maybe I've been away from it too long, and coming back to it, it may feel offbeat to me, but we'll see. But that too, unto itself, is another game system out there, which is made by Monty Cook Games. If you're new into the hobby and you're looking for somewhere to start, this is an excellent system. It's, in my opinion, the Cipher system is excellent for solitaire play, and it's really a good system for people who have really sank their teeth into RPGs. They like RPGs and they're looking for a system that they can basically have one system underneath one umbrella and bring any genre or anything they would like to do into an RPG for that. But if, for me, would I use this for a 3rd edition, let's say, campaign module if I was to play the Forgotten Realms? No, actually I wouldn't. It's going to be far too vague, I'm going to say, for what I enjoy about them systems, the mechanics of them systems. I'm going to want to go towards CNC to play that and actually enjoy that. But I want to talk about something else that I recently picked up. It's another game system that I absolutely love. And this publisher, like I said, has hit it out of the park every single time. It seems like they come out with something and I'm just like, man, I don't think they can top this. And to my surprise, they absolutely do. And that is Free League Publishing and Forbidden Lands. If you enjoy Forbidden Lands, and like I do, I really enjoy Forbidden Lands. I like the system. I like the whole idea behind it's a fresh new game system unto itself, the ideas of this world, and you go at it from the perspective of, instead of being a hero on a noble quest, you're a cutthroat and you're trying to survive in this horrible apocalyptic world that just came out of this horrible evil curse that plagued the land, and the blood mists and everything else, and this evil still lingers in the land. It's still there. It's not gone. It's just been, how do I put this, subdued. And of course they have updated it with this one, which is called Forbidden Lands, The Blood March. The Blood March expands, for as we know of the Forbidden Lands, if you have the introductory set where it's going to go in, it's going to give you the map, it's going to explain the world to you, and it's going to give you a huge area of sandbox goodiness to go and explore. This is actually going to open up that world a lot more. Now, I do have several others. The Raven's Purge. One of them I played for a while, and it was pretty brutal, I have to admit, for an RPG. And I mean, and that's Forbidden Lands, The Bitter Reach. This will challenge you for the fact that there's so much attention paid, so much attention to detail in their games, which I like, which is your rations, your water, your character staying warm, having to find adequate brush or wood to be able to light a campfire to keep your characters warm from freezing to death out into the wilderness. And the Blood March is absolutely no different. Everything we have seen, like I said, from Free League Publishing, I'm just absolutely blown away. I just did recently do my pre-order of Dragon's Bane, and I'm waiting to see how that's going to be. That's going to be a new Free League Publishing, not a new game, but a updated, revamped, if you will. Basically, here in the States in the 80s, we had D&D, and at the same time over there in, I want to say, for some reason, I want to say Free League Publishing, it was Sweden, if I remember correctly. I'm probably wrong on that. And if I am, feel free to correct me in the comments. But anyways, it was always kind of their localized D&D version, and they decided to upgrade it and release it to the world. And of course, we will have our copies here soon in English to where we can enjoy this game and see what it has to offer, which I find kind of fitting for the fact that Bozos of the Coast decided they're going to go 100% electronic and walk away from the tabletop gaming into complete 100% electronic, subscription-based, blah, 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 no real minis, no nothing like that. And then what do we see from Free League Publishing? We see this release of, hey, this was our D&D when you guys had yours, and it did really well over here. And we decided, since we've seen Bozos of the Coast kind of, well, destroy their whole entire business model. I mean, how stupid can you be to actually chase your customer base away and then be surprised that, oh my God, we're not getting profits, our stocks are dropping, what's going on here, what happened? Well, kind of got what you deserve, and I told you so. So yeah, I'm delighting in this. I'm looking forward to Dragon's Bane coming out and getting into that and seeing what that has to offer. But I just wanted to get a video out there, talk to you guys, and I'm feeling way more like myself now than I have in a long, long time. And it's good to be back. And just remember, if you start hearing this all over the internet, Bozos of the Coast, remember where you heard it first and who coined that first. Bozos of the Coast. No longer fitting for Wizards of the Coast. Bozos of the Coast. I like that much better. All right, my friends, these are my thoughts and not yours. And if you enjoyed the video, let me know, drop me a comment. And with that being said, this is ArtichokeDip signing off.